Hey everybody, am I on?
Yep.
Am I on? Hey everybody, Aaron Blaise here. It's October 1st, and it is our first and only stream of this week. We are streaming, we're screaming. We're streaming today. We're streaming today, but not on Thursday. Nick and I are headed off to Kenya, the Masai Mara in Kenya, which is the northern end of the Serengeti, which is Tanzania. So the Masai Mara is Kenya, the Serengeti is Tanzania.
Can you not?
Kenya not. So we're heading out on Friday. We got a lot to do, so we're not going to be doing a live stream on Thursday. And we'll be gone for 10 days. So we won't be back until the 15th. So whatever, I don't know what day the 15th is, but we'll try to get something in that week when we get back. This past week, we had a couple of really great things happen. First of all, on Wednesday, we did a really fun live stream with our Patreon members, and we talked about that in our last stream. It went really well, and tomorrow we're doing another one with our Patreon members. We've got 4 more portfolios that we have left to review, and so we're going to be doing that. So if you are on our Patreon page at the $10 tier, you're going to be able to tune in with us tomorrow, Wednesday, at the same time that we started last time. I'm trying to remember when we started last time. I can't remember. Do you remember what time it was? I don't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever time that was, we'll find out, and then we'll post it.
And the 15th lands on a Tuesday.
I think it was 1 o'clock. It was 1 o'clock. That's right. It was 1 o'clock we started.
Yeah.
And the 15th lands on a Tuesday?
Lands on a Tuesday.
Okay, so we'll be live streaming that Thursday. But here's the biggest announcement.
Oh boy. The anticipation's killing me.
Yes. Our biggest announcement is this. We are going to be, over the next couple of weeks, well, once we get back from Africa, we're going to start weaning down the number of live streams we do. It's gotten to be, our business has grown such that I'm having a hard time doing the live streams Tuesdays and Thursdays and getting all the other work done, creating content and all of that. It's just too much bopping around and that sort of thing. So we are going to be going down to 1 stream a week on Friday, and we're going to be starting that probably at the end of October. So I just want to let you guys know we're dropping down to 1 stream a week on Friday. It'll be the same time, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but at least that'll give Dustin and myself enough time in the week, and Nick, that we can get work done between Monday and Thursday and not have hiccups jumping back and forth. So that's going to be our biggest announcement. And Dustin's putting together a little reminder for that. So I just want to let you guys know that the 2 a week has been great, but it's our business is built up to where we can't get anything else done anymore. So we gotta peel back on a couple of things. And we want to make sure that we're creating more content for you on the website. So that's our biggest thing. But I do want to mention that Patreon page. We've got our Patreon, and it's going really well. Like I said, we did a portfolio review last week. It was really great. And if you're interested in getting involved, it's patreon.com/AaronBlaiseArt. And that's awesome. And Nick was saying that he thinks Friday might be a bad day. We might change it. I don't know. It's out there, but anyway, we'll talk about which day. But anyway, the bottom line is we're going down to 1 day a week. And then the other thing too is I want to mention on Saturday we did our first live online course, and it happened to be character design. We did a 6-hour live online course on Saturday, and it went relatively great. When we were on the air, everything went really smooth. It was really awesome. We had great interaction. We had a couple of bandwidth issues, and the stream went down twice, but we're going to get those fixed, and we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. And we're going to try to do this about 3 to 4 times a year. It was really successful, and it was a great way for us to reach out to a lot of our followers and students that might not have the ability to leave the country and of where they're at and come see us when we're doing live classes and workshops. And so we decided we would start doing this in an effort for us to come to you in kind of a low cost way. And so, like I said, we're going to do this again, probably in about 3 more months, or after the holidays. And and I'm not sure what the subject's going to be yet. It might be animation, it might be digital painting, it might be creature design. I don't know, but we'll do something. And like I said, we're going to try to do a different subject each time, and we'll do this probably 4 times a year. So thanks a lot for the ones that did show up, and thank you so much for your patience for for when we went down. But when we came back up, everything was great, and we extended it to make up for the lost time, and it was a blast. So hopefully you guys that didn't make it on this last one can join us on the next one. So today, I think that kind of takes care of everything. Oh, we have a Patreon image going up today. Can't get enough water.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated, my friend. And these hiking shoes that I have, I've loved these hiking shoes. I've had them for years. Matter of fact, I just got done gluing them back together because I don't want to throw them out. They're all set. I just got them ready. They're heading off to Africa. This is going to be their second trip to Africa.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So anyway, as usual, I've got Dustin, my sidekick, son.
Hey!
He's we're going to be answering questions, and we got Nick in Sarasota. He's going to be fielding questions as well. Today, I'm doing some character design. I've got this book that I'm illustrating with Nick and another partner, and it's kind of a choose your own. I don't want to say choose your own adventure because that's actually copywritten, but it is that type of thing. And so it's a role playing game, and that kind of takes you on different adventures. And I am designing some of the characters for it. If you remember, last week I was struggling to get this elf character done, and I'm going to back up from kind of creating an entire image, and I'm just going to try to do some design and see what we come up with. And you guys can ask questions and whatnot. The characters that I'm doing, the race of elves that I'm doing, they're very wispy, almost air-like, and they live very quickly. And so where we might live 70 or 80 years, these elves only live 30 to 40 years. And if you hit one that's 50, then they're super old. And they're very intelligent, very tall, very thin, and very curious about the world around them. And there's a lot of engineers and that sort of thing within their culture. And so I want to kind of take those types of traits and see if I can just boil them down into a character, just one character that kind of represents, what we're talking about. And what I like to do is just scribble.
Scribble, scrabble.
Scribble, scrabble. And I'm just going to do a lot of scribbling today.
We don't have any questions just yet.
That's okay.
How's your day going?
My day is good so far. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. Can't complain.
See, I like to scribble out. Maybe his hand is out here instead.
Like scribbling out ideas.
Yeah, just sit and just kind of scribble and see what comes out. That one I'm not. I want to get a good silhouette.
Phil Walker Davies says, "This is awesome. What kind of elf are you, Aaron?"
A bear elf.
A bear elf.
A big elf.
How do you define a bear elf?
Big and fat.
Big and fat and hairy, but instead of hair, it's leaves growing out of them. Man.
So here I have This elf kind of working on something.
New question from Kristen. If a character is, say, like roaring or shouting, can you use the quote unquote less than and greater than for the mouth?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, you can use that all the time. I use it as much as I can.
Mandy's here and he just asked, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
3.
Let's find out. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 3.
You did that pretty good.
Thank you. What's the elf doing?
So Manny, he's working on like a little watch or something. I'm trying to like get a little.
Is Mandy going on the Africa trip?
Manny is going on the Africa trip. Yes.
Lucky. Well, tell him I said hi when you get there.
I will. So you can see I'm just scribbling out. Actually, maybe I'll have him hunched over.
Have you ever thought about doing these live streams on Twitch? We are doing on.
We are on
Twitch.
Twitch.
Right
Yeah, we're on Twitch right now.
Yeah, just look up Aaron Blaise art on Twitch and it'll be right there. It is Aaron Blaise art, right?
Yep.
What are your thoughts on blue cheese?
What are your thoughts on originality?
Well, for starters, I don't like blue cheese personally, but Father really loves it. I really don't get how. I don't understand why you like blue cheese or how you like it.
Well,
It's
a sophisticated palate, pal.
Uh-huh. Or like a weird one.
Yeah. I want to get. See, I want that kind of tinkerer kind of character that's interested in, that likes to create, like I said, like watches and clocks and things like that. But at the same time, I want this kind of regal kind of feel to it. I'm not sure I've got that yet.
I've often heard not to draw characters directly head on or in full profile. I've never understood why. And what are your thoughts on that?
I don't understand why either. It depends on what the pose calls for. So there's no reason why you can't do something in profile or yeah, I don't know.
When is Klaus coming out again? Was it November, I thought?
Probably, yeah. It makes sense.
Like
it's
November or like early December?
It's a Christmas story.
That's why every time I hear that title with that K, it makes me want to say Klaus.
Klaus.
Like a German Klaus. It is the one and only Santa Claus. Are you doing Inktober? If so, will we be seeing your pieces on Facebook?
Yes, probably not till I get back from Africa, though. Not liking that. I'm getting closer, though. I'm finding something.
Hi, guys.
I want to get a little bit more intimate here.
Huh.
Yeah?
Did you have time to think about a Facebook group where your students can critique each other's work?
No, not yet, but we will.
Klaus is, somebody thinks is November 16th. You know what? Why am I not researching this?
There we go. Now I've got something I like here.
It's actually November 8th. You were off by 8 days, good sir.
YouTube question: what's your opinion about Frazetta? Frazetta's awesome. Frazetta was one of my earliest influences. Here we
Could
go.
you maybe show us how to draw teeth on a character?
I will in just a moment, because I'm looking at...
And how was the live workshop?
The live workshop was great. Yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier when we started.
As a latecomer.
The live workshop went really well. We had a couple of instances where we went down, our internet went down, but other than that, it was really great. And we're going to be fixing that issue, so we're going to be doing a lot more of these in the future. There we go. Now I'm finding a pose that I like.
Have you ever heard of the artist named Kim Jung-gi?
I know Kim Jung-gi. We were in the Philippines together. We were lecturing together. And Kim Jung-gi is one of the most amazing artists alive today, I think.
Do you know any good references or books about Sumi watercolor art?
I don't know. I love Sumi watercolor art, but I don't know of any books, no. So here we got like a little watch or some kind of mechanical device I'm going to work out in just a second. Twitch question. For Inktober, I'm using a dip pen. Do you ever use a dip pen for ink drawing? If so, do you have any tips? I haven't used any dip pens or fountain pens or quill pens, if you want to go in with any of those. I haven't used them in a long time. Just, make sure you don't push against the nib. It'll really splatter if you're not careful. Or you can use that to your advantage too.
How did you figure out how to animate a creature such as the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, both ferocious and appealing, since he was more or less like a monster in the beginning, but you liked him in the end?
Well, I mean, that was part of his design, and Glenn Keane was a big part of that. He purposely designed him in a way that, even though he was all beastly on the outside, the one thing that wasn't beastly about him were his eyes. When we animated him, we made sure to make his eyes human. And then, in the writing itself, he arcs. He goes from, not a nice guy to, or like, a beast, to someone that you care about. So here I've scribbled in kind of something that I feel is kind of cool. Theropod Hunt on YouTube asks, "Hey Aaron, have you ever drawn an American pronghorn?" Matter of fact.
An American pronghorn.
As a matter of fact.
As a matter of fact,
I've drawn them many times. Let's see what this one is. Come on, baby. Come on up.
Come on, baby.
It's going to take a little while. It's got to download from the... Yeah.
From the...
Oh, come on. There he is. So that's a watercolor sketch that I did, quite a while ago, back in 2015. But I've got a lot of them since then. So there's the sketch. There's that. I've got this one. What was this one? Oh, that's just a Photoshop file. I've got a whole bunch of them. Not sure why these are the only ones coming up. But the answer is yes. I've done pronghorn envelopes before. Nick says, I just put up a link to a poll to get feedback from people as to what day of the week is best for streaming. I don't want to go by a poll, actually, Nick, though, because remember, we had talked about for us, the best day of the week was Friday, so that we could work during the week. That's why I want to do it on Friday, because that's for me. It's important to get that roll going, to get the courses done, so I don't have to stop in the middle. So I'd still like to keep it Friday.
Aaron, why not give the elf some magnifying glasses, like microscopes?
Actually, I was thinking about that to add to the thing.
Also about maybe a braided beard?
Well, I might do this. Either do this, which I kind of like. I like that kind of Geppetto kind of feel.
Hello, sir. I want to ask that what do you think about game concept art like what Blizzard art is doing?
I'm going to give him a little hat. Say that again?
What do you think about game concept art like the Blizzard's artwork?
I don't know. I don't know it well enough. I'm going to increase the size of his head a little bit.
I don't know if you can see it from there, but this is what some of Blizzard's concept art looks like.
It's cool.
The company Blizzard's most well known for their MMORPG World of Warcraft.
Okay, Nick, LOL.
What do you say? How do we make appealing hands? They're truly difficult.
It's just practice. That one's just practice. You just gotta, the more you do it, the better you get.
Did you save the sketch?
Not yet, but I will be.
What do you find the most difficult to draw?
Well, hands. I think hands are really difficult. YouTube comment. I thought elves are immortal. Maybe you're elves. Who says elves need to be immortal? Elves don't exist. You can make them any way you want. So elves can be anything. That's the idea. I mean, they're imaginary creatures. So in this case, in this world, elves are short-lived. They don't have to be immortal. They can make them. You can make them any way you want. So there's.
Maybe for a Halloween drawing, would you consider drawing a werewolf?
Sure. Actually, that's a cool idea. I'm gonna get his bench going across right here. Twist question: what are your thoughts on Glenn Keane's animation he did for Google 360 video? I absolutely loved it. If that's the one where you're talking about the boy and the girl growing up, and you move around, I think it's genius. It's fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Yes. 100%. YouTube question: any interest in drawing characters from Godzilla? Not really. I've never been a big fan. Just not my area. I don't have to like everything, Dustin.
You do have to like everything.
Yeah.
Question. I recently designed a character for the film Hotel Transylvania, bit of a personal project. Unbeknown to me, there's a TV show of Hotel Transylvania with a nearly identical character that I designed. Can I still use my design in my folio?
Sure, I guess. Just explain it. But I'm confused. Do you work for Sony? And you did it for Sony, or you just did it because you like the movie and that's what you did?
Yeah, I think what I got out of that is I think that it was like a fan concept art, like a fan made illustration of a made up character. But then they have a character in the show that is similar to the design that he made out of his head. That is not Sony related. That's my best guess. So, would he be allowed to use that in his folio?
Yeah. Just explain it. Say, hey, I happened to design this before, and I wouldn't put a lot of weight on it.
Aaron, who is your favorite fictional elf, and why is it Elrond?
What?
He just went straight to the point.
Oh.
Who's your favorite fictional elf, and why?
I don't have one.
And why is it Elrond? Elrond is the guy played by Agent Smith in Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
I was there 3,000 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. So there's getting something there.
Will you guys go to Spark Animation Conference?
No.
What is that?
I don't know. So we're not going this year.
Don't know about it, so nope.
I'll do this. Give him a little cloak that he's got around his shoulders.
What was your first, I'm really good at this, drawing?
Oh, I don't remember. I was probably 5 years old. I've been drawing since I can remember, so I don't remember. I have no idea. But I can tell you when my last, I don't know if I can do this or not, drawing was. That's almost every drawing.
Did you ever meet Walt Disney's cryo-frozen head?
Yes, absolutely. I'll just start saying yes from now on.
If it was cryo-frozen, it must have been very cold in there.
Yeah, right.
Maybe a little too cold.
There. Just got a little screwdriver happening here. Nick says, in the world of elves, in this world, elves get the typical speed and agility but they own. I can't. There's a typo I can't figure out. You can't have it all. In this world, elves get the typical speed and agility that people normally think of, but they don't get a long life. You can't get it all. Yeah, that's that. In this world, that's how that is exactly. And YouTube question, portfolio question: can you or should you put fan art in your portfolio? No, don't put fan art in your portfolio. No one wants to see fan art in the portfolio. They want your original art. They want to see what you can do or work that you've done on other productions.
Was there ever a project you were asked to work on that you declined? And
Yeah,
now
many, very many, lots of.
Now that you wish you had been a part of?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's probably one like that. That I didn't really decline. I was negotiating with the studio to maybe go there, and the head of the studio ended up cutting off negotiations. And at the time, I thought one of the films that they were working on was kind of, I just didn't think it was a good idea, and it turned out to be I was completely wrong.
Mm.
You know what movie it was?
What?
Kung Fu Panda.
Uh,
I remember Jeffrey Katzenberg telling me, so we got this other movie that you might be interested in called Kung Fu Panda, and it's about a panda and he knows Kung Fu. And I just thought, that is so obvious. Why would you do that? And I just thought it was kind of a weak idea, and he didn't really explain it to me. And then a movie came out a few years later. I went, man, what an idiot I am.
what comic book would you love
And
to
I've got to
draw
make it
for?
clear, he wasn't offering me the movie. I'm not saying that. It was just, he was telling me about the different projects that they had going on at the studio at the time, and to see if we might want to come over and work with them. And then when he found out that I was still talking with Disney, then they cut off negotiations. But I like Jeffrey. Go ahead.
Yeah. What comic book would you love to draw on? Like what? Maybe like what?
I don't know comic books well enough. I don't know. I've never been a comic book guy. If you can believe that.
That I can't believe.
You can believe that because you know I've never been a comic book guy.
Aaron and Dustin, if you had to write a biography on someone, who would it be?
Oh, boy, that's a good question. I don't know. That's I'd have to come back to that one. I'd like to do a biography on Glenn Keane.
Steve Bloom.
Steve Bloom?
Yep. He was the
Steve
voice
Bloom?
actor for my favorite character in Cowboy Bebop,
Oh,
Spike Spiegel.
so here we go. So I'm getting somewhere I like now. This is a lot better character drawing than what I had before. Actually, this is going to come up a little bit anatomically. That's a bit off.
Ah, great. We all out the questions.
There we go. So now we got something that's working a little better. Thiago asks, how do you get smooth lines? My lines always have this jitter to them. I do it a lot. I draw a lot. That's how I get smooth lines. I just draw a lot. Draw with confidence. You want to get in there and draw with confidence. That's important. I don't like this hand right here. We're going to change that hand. There we go, something like that.
Who was the hardest character you animated at Disney? Nala, Yao, etc.?
Beast.
Your first one?
Yeah, Beast was the hardest character to animate. Or actually, Pocahontas was really difficult. Yeah, I think Pocahontas was probably the most difficult.
Was it because of the hair?
No, it was just her whole, everything about her. She was, female characters for me are difficult to get them to be attractive, especially at the time when I was learning. And, she had a very distinct way of moving, talking. Plus, it was all shot in live action first. We had to follow live action reference, and that was difficult because we didn't want it to feel like it was rotoscoped. So you wanted to, we just all we did was pull the keys from the live action reference, and then we made the rest of it our own. But it was still, it was just difficult.
And to the latecomers, when will the next live stream be after trip to Africa? In 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
It'll probably be the Thursday after we get back. We get back on a Tuesday. It'll probably be that Thursday, and then we're going to wind it down to one stream a week. So I'm going to knock this back again. There we go. YouTube question. I've worked for firms that won't let me take copies of my own illustrations to use in my portfolio. How do you work around situations like this? I don't ask. I always believe in the ask for forgiveness rather than permission. And a firm that does that, that's just crappy. Now I understand that if it's something that hasn't been out yet, if it hasn't been released yet, I totally get that. But to tell you, if it's something that's been released and they still tell you that you can't use it, that's crappy.
What sort of drawing exercises do you do to get past creative block?
I just draw. I get that question all the time, and I literally just draw. Just focus on drawing. And he's not looking in the right direction. Trying to get into oil and acrylics. What's the best brand you've ever used? I always use Winsor Newton for oils and watercolors, for that matter, and then Liquitex for my acrylics. Or Liquitex? Yeah, Liquitex. This kind right here, Liquitex acrylics. Winsor Newton oil, Liquitex acrylics. That's what I use.
How do you build up a character from nothing?
Well, you got to understand who the character is. That's something to start with there, and then it just takes it. You've got to work it and rework it and see what proportions are working and like this guy here, it's still kind of a shaky design, but at least it's something that I'm able to get down. And then you adjust and you adjust and then you adjust and then you adjust some more, and you just keep working it until you've got something that's really appealing. Because that's the bottom line. That's what we want with our designs, is appeal.
How do you feel about the roto style in general, like the recent show Undone or Scanner Darkly?
That's not my kind of style. It's an interesting effect. To me, it's really just an effect. They're putting an effect over live action, and to me, that's not character animation. That's not what we do. That's not what I do as a character animator. I'm trying to come up with something new. So, but I find it interesting. It's just not my kind of style.
What are the top 3 goals for the Africa trip?
Well, we want to get a lot of photos. I want to get a lot of reference. I've been using the same Africa reference for the last 7 years. So it's time to get some new stuff. And, but not just that, I want to get enough work together that I want to have some sketches And then as the group, the group that's going, we want to be able to do something with all that, and put together a book or whatever it might be. And so I'm really excited about.
What's the current drawing device you're using?
You have this? Is this set up?
Yep.
I have got a Cintiq Pro 32 right here. It's a big pen tablet, pen display, I should say, and it's made by Wacom, and I've been using Wacom devices for the last 15 years now, and it's the only kind of device that I use of its kind. So I love them. See, this goes like this. So this is the biggest model they have that they make, and it's fantastic. Huge, super great resolution, and yeah, it's awesome. I think it's amazing. So there you go. You can switch back now, Dustin.
Yeah, sorry, switch back.
Nick says also it can be a little different for what you can put in personally presented portfolio versus what you might. Oh yeah, he was talking about the portfolio question earlier. That it can be a little different for what you can put in personally presented portfolio versus what you might post publicly online, which I agree with. Lewis asks, greetings from Kenya. Glad you guys are making the trip. As you were developing your style, which artist inspired you so much that you incorporated or stole some of their technique? What did you mix? I don't know that I ever stole anything other than I may have stole it subconsciously. I've always been influenced by Robert Bateman and his approach to composition. Frazetta, I was really, and I think a lot of artists really stole a lot from Frazetta. I've always been, really inspired by the work that he did. Before I could afford to buy any of his books, as a kid, I would go to the bookstore, and there was this one Frazetta book that no one would buy, and it would just sit on the shelf. And so I would sit there every weekend. I'd go to this bookstore, and I would just page through this book, and just try to memorize each painting so that I could try to draw it when I got home, because I couldn't afford to buy the book, and it was awesome. It was all the typical destroyer barbarian type stuff that he had, and I just was so excited about that kind of artwork, and it really turned me on to trying to figure out how to draw the human figure.
What's more important for you, the sketching or the rendering? Like, which part do you like the most?
I like the sketching part. Really do.
Like trying to get the idea together?
Yeah. Twitch question. Any African animals that you've never seen in the wild that you're hoping to see on this trip? Yeah, African wild dogs. I've never seen any African wild dogs. I'd love to see that.
So I made a future suggestion. Since Spike is Dustin's favorite character, Aaron should draw him sometime.
Who? The character you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, from Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop?
Cowboy Bebop. I'm not sure you can see him from over there, but this is Spike.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So here's a character we're coming up with I feel pretty good about. Madio asks, wow, the Cintiq setup you're using is very high. Do you feel comfortable with your arm muscles working like that, or are you using that way for specific steps? No, I just always use it like this. I like keeping my arms up high. That's just how I work.
Have you ever had an issue taking art supplies on a plane, like liquids, paints, etc. Brushes.
No, I haven't really flown with my oil paints that much since 9/11. I usually just take my watercolors now when I go on big trips. And so I don't take anything flammable.
What animal do you think we should have more of a focus on to prevent it from going extinct? And that leopard drawing on the previous live stream was epic.
I don't know about what, I mean, there's so many animals that, there's so many that need our attention that I can't say which one deserves more attention over another.
They all
But
deserve
we
it.
just, yeah, they all deserve it. And we just need to be better, more diligent at, watching what we're doing with the world around us.
Would you consider using a drone camera to get closer, unique photos and footage on the Africa trip without the risk of becoming lion chow?
Say that again.
Would you consider using a drone camera to get closer, unique photos and footage on the Africa trip without the risk of becoming lion chow?
Oh yeah, I just don't. I don't know that a drone would be the right thing to use out there. I mean, I don't want to get too close. The animals there already allow you to get really close inside a Land Rover, and there's some really great footage that I've gotten from hot air balloons out there, and that's cool. I don't know that I don't know that you need a drone that much, other than getting cool, maybe faster footage, or chasing a herd of following a herd of wildebeest that aren't maybe that are running, that you don't want to spook them, so you can use a smaller drone that's not as loud as, say, a helicopter. There we go.
Yeah, but and also in considering about how far or close, you're also getting that big old lens to help you out to get that extra reach for your photography.
Right.
So that's definitely helpful too. Not sure where Aaron is going exactly, but most game parks do not allow drones.
I'm not taking a drone with me.
I think the person was talking to a person, but yeah.
You can get special permission, and it's in Kenya. I'm not doing it in the States.
No.
And I'm sure they've got rules there as well. Because
Yeah, I think you need like special license and all that jazz.
Everyone's an expert.
Will you be using your iPad or Procreate for drawings on your trip?
No. I will a little bit. I'm going to probably mostly draw traditional, but I will be bringing my iPad and using Procreate when I'm on the plane for sure. I'm mainly going to focus when I'm on the plane. I want to get into their. I'm kind of using their new beta. I guess they released it. I'm doing some stuff with the animation software that they're putting in there, and I want to have some fun with that. There we go.
Hey, Gabby's here.
Gabby, wow, that's unusual.
Do you ever people watch and sketch?
Do I ever people watch in Sketch? Yeah. I did in Japan all the time when I'm there. But no, I do that a lot. YouTube question. Aaron, would you agree that the best way to learn to animate movement of people is to draw from life? Well, you definitely should be observing from life, absolutely. How else are you going to know how to move them? You have to see it from life. You can't just make that up. Yeah, so definitely.
Would you recommend making an anatomy book, like a cross between a sketchbook and instruction book, since I have done a lot of my homework studying anatomy this year?
We're definitely thinking about making books from the courses that we've created so far down the road. That's our long-term goal. Um, Making specifically an anatomy book right now, that's probably low on the list compared to other things that we're going to be doing. First thing we want to try to get out is our sketchbook, or the 100 drawings. I'm still putting the 100 drawings together, so we want to get that done.
In your trips to Africa, did you stay in a house or travel to the city? I'm curious because I want to go to Africa in the future, but I have no idea where to start.
Well, we fly to Nairobi, which is the main city in Kenya. We fly to Nairobi, and then from Nairobi, we spend the night in Nairobi, and then for the next day, you catch a small plane, a prop plane, and we fly that to the Masai Mara. That's about a 45-minute flight. It's a dirt runway. You land there, and then you're taken to a camp, and that's where we stay for 10 days, and it's all tents, and it's along the river, the Masai River, or the Mara River, sorry, not the Masai River. It's along there, and it's beautiful. And there's a lot of different, if you look up, Masai Mara outfitters, you'll find all kinds of, outfitters at a lot of different price points. I recommend, not going too cheaply, because you get what you pay for, and you don't want to go all that way and not know if your outfit's going to be good. I'd go with a really reputable outfit, and there's still travel agents that handle that kind of stuff. Travel agents are becoming a thing of the past, but they're still out there. You can find them, and what is it? Abercrombie and Fit. Not Abercrombie and it's Abercrombie something or other. The travel, it's higher end. I've used them when we did our animal research trip for Tembo, but that was an amazing outfit. They really handled us great.
Which app do you like to sketch in? Photoshop, Procreate, Clip Studio?
Photoshop. I'm working in Photoshop right now.
And that's the one you prefer?
Yes. I'll use Procreate on my iPad. I just haven't used it in a while. I'll get more and more proficient with it. Aaron, would you agree that I just answered that one. So there's an elf right there. That feels kind of fun. I like him. He's a little wispy. Has some character to it. We rotate that.
How would you respond to art teachers who try to teach that Glenn King's approach to drawing is a bad one because he uses quote unquote too many lines?
That's just an art teacher that doesn't know what they're talking about. Straight up. It's okay to search. That's part of being an artist. There's no such thing as using too many lines. There's no such thing as using too few lines. Those kinds of rules are idiotic. Straight up. It's as many lines. If you search, if that's your style, then that's great. It's all, what depends is it's the finished product. And personally, I love seeing all those lines. It's almost like you can see the energy that went into it. The sculpture, the sculptural quality, everything, all of that. It's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
That's somebody that doesn't know how to draw like Glenn Keane, and they're insecure about it. That's what it is. And so therefore they go, you know what? He uses too many lines. I'll leave that open.
They don't know how to deal with it.
No, they don't. There. Okay, cool. I like this. That one feels pretty good. So I can get some, knock this back a little bit. Like having the little underdrawing in there as well.
How do you design the thing in his hand that he's working on?
I don't know, I just made it up. Just a little something I'm making up. Not sure if it's a compass or watch or what it is.
I think that kind of answered the follow-up question that the person asked.
What is it?
What I mean in my above question is do you decide what it is used for before you start drawing, or simply make something fit in his hand that looks reasonably for purpose?
Yeah, I'm just putting something in his hand that feels reasonably technical. I don't think we have to know what it is. Twitch question, any tips on perspective drawing? How do you figure out if it's 2 or 3 point perspective on a picture just by looking at it? Well, it's really where the eye level is. That's how you're going to tell if it's 2 or 3 point perspective, and I'll show you what I mean. And you can get, I just put together an entire course on perspective at creatureartteacher.com. So if you go to my website, you'll find an entire course on 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective, how to do perspective to scale, all of that. Let me show you something real quick. So if we have something here, let's say this is our eye level going across. All right. Like so, we've got a vanishing point here, vanishing point here. If this is our picture plane, like in here, then by and large, that's going to be 2 point perspective. I can create something here based on these 2 points. I'm coming down like so. This comes to here, to this point over there, and this goes to this point. So we've got a box that, that because of the eye level, the eye line is so in the, or even if it's just above the picture plane, you can still get away with it. It's when your eye line is way above the picture plane that you want to start thinking about. So let's say we have our eye line up here, and there's a vanishing point, there's a vanishing point. But let's say our picture plane is down here. Maybe, so then it might be, we have another vanishing point here for our third point, in which case, let me go to my line tool instead. Where's my line tool? I forget where I put that, where that was. It's down, it's right here.
Get in the line.
So let's say I've got a line that's coming here. Actually, let me go lighter with it. So we've got a line that's going here, and we have one here, and here, and let's go in this way, and this way, and here, and here. So now you can see it's like we're up over the top of a high-rise building. Let's draw the street level down here, along here, and like this. Okay, so now because our picture plane is so low below our eye line, we need that third point for perspective. So now if I go in with the dark line and I create my building, This is still a little bit skewed. I would pull this third point probably further down, but this will tell you when you should be using 3-point or 2-point. So now we have this, we're looking way down on this building from way up high because our eye line is so high, we're actually looking down, and that determines our third point. And eventually, if we look down even more, like we're right over the buildings looking straight down, then all of a sudden it becomes 1-point perspective again, because all the buildings, if I were to look straight down over these buildings, let me shrink this all up. So let's say, our buildings come up like this. So here, we've got at least, whoops, let me get this to here, this to here, this to here. So this picture plane here is our 2-point perspective. And then as we drop down, right here, there's our picture plane. Now that becomes 3-point perspective. But then our picture plane might come in here, and now our buildings are like this, like this, because they're right over the vanishing point. We're looking straight down. So in which case you're going to end up with this type of feel, like that. Now, real perspective is warped. It becomes warped like that. There's a bit of a fisheye, but that's a whole other way of measuring things out. Like this would actually kind of warp a little bit, the way we would see. But I don't bother with that, and neither should you. So we would have 1-point perspective. We're looking straight down over the buildings, right here. And then as we're starting to look up, we're starting to get, now we're going to get the other two vanishing points. And so that gives us our 3-point perspective right here. And then as we look real horizontal with our horizon line, then that becomes 2-point perspective right there. Okay? There you go. All right, what was I doing? I forget.
You were doing something.
Oh.
You were drawing. That's what it was. You were drawing.
Oh, there it is. I was drawing there. There we go. I'm going to give him bluish hair. Why not? Kind of blue, grayish. Why the heck not?
That's where every time I hear somebody say a line like that, I instantly think of 40-year-old virgin. I'm going to paint your pants blue.
Twitch comment. I always find those art teachers who say X is bad questions pretty weird. Oh, I think sometimes people misinterpret some common things art teachers say to get beginners to relearn their fundamentals correctly as a criticism on a technique used by veterans. For example, learning to see and draw with shapes rather than contouring. But maybe I just had good art teachers. No, I think you're absolutely right. But I've had art teachers in the past that they were a black and white and said, no, you can't do it this way. I've had it both ways. So I know what you're saying, though, and I tend to agree with you.
We're all out of questions.
That's all right. I'll just draw then. If you guys don't want to ask me anything, I'll just draw.
Oh, a new one just popped up. Was
There
there
you go.
ever an assignment at Disney that you had to abandon because you weren't able to do it or wished you moved away from?
Yeah, I mean, King of the Elves was one that I absolutely loved, and I wasn't able to get it done. I had to leave it. I had to leave the company. That's when your mom passed away, Dustin, and I just struggled too much with making the movie, So there is that. There's other projects that you just get a false start on. There was one we were making. There was a Roger Rabbit short cartoon that we were making called "Hair in My Soup," and we ended up abandoning that after several months of development. We had another one of Roger at the Opera, which we abandoned. I'm going to go a little darker. I'll go a little darker on these outfits. So I'm just painting in local color, just like I'm doing a coloring book. Some people have a much looser approach. I like to get that drawing drawn in there, and then I start coloring, and then I kind of slowly fade the drawing away and let the painting take over. What do you think about green eyes? Or violet? Maybe violet eyes. With the color that we have. With that skin tone.
Maybe like a bright icy blue.
Yeah, well, I've got a blue hair. YouTube comment, hi, I'm very interested in digital illustration and literally found your channel just yesterday. Your tutorials are very thorough and well explained. Thank you so much. You're welcome. If you're interested in more, I've got a website, creatureartteacher.com, where you can sign up for courses in digital painting and traditional drawing and painting and all kinds of stuff. So just go check out creatureartteacher.com.
I heard that Glenn was having a hard time coming up with beast to human transformation at the end of the movie. What was your reaction when he finally came up with the idea?
Oh, I thought it was amazing. You know, animation's hard. We all have a hard time. You know, I remember I struggled. This is just very simple, but I really struggled with getting when the main ancestor comes to life in Mulan, and he just kind of rises out of nothing when Mushu brings him to life. I struggled with that. I animated it over and over and over again until I had something. So it's just one of those things where we struggle at it until it comes to fruition.
When will you be using that awesome new easel?
Well, when I get back, I think I'm going to be doing an African oil painting, or I should say an oil painting with an African subject, and that's when I'm going to use it, and I'll demonstrate it then. Twitch question: do you have any advice in tackling nighttime scenes like moonlight and such? Yeah, it's really all about values. So make sure that when you're doing that, obviously your values have to be dark. Observe. Get out and observe, and you'll see. Oops! Oh, I gotta unlock that. There we go. You know, your value structure will become much closer when you start doing nighttime scenes. And your moonlight doesn't have to be quite as bright as you think it does. Once again, it's you know, relative to other values that you have in the composition.
I would love to hear more about your Africa trips, Aaron. I'm South African myself. Do you always go to Kenya? Have you been to Kruger or Etosha or Namibia?
I've never been to Namibia. Well, actually, I've never been to any of those. I've been to Kenya, all over Kenya, Samburu, Lewa Downs, Masai Mara. And then I went down to Tanzania. I went to Tarangire National Park. But beyond that, I haven't really been anywhere else on the continent. And we're hoping to get to South Africa this year. We're hoping it's going to work out. We're not sure. There's an art festival down in Cape Town, or an animation festival or entertainment. I'm not sure if it's strictly animation down in Cape Town that we're hoping to be a part of. And we want to get down there and hit some of the parks while we're there. And I really want to get to Namibia. Namibia is one of my dream trips, to go and see the Skeleton Coast and all of that. It would just be an absolute dream of mine. Philippe asks, when are you coming back from Kenya? How will I live without your streams? We're coming back on the 15th. We're going to be gone 10 days. Twitch comment, hey Aaron and company, just watching with my daughter, Danica. She's 6. She named this elf Snowball. You're welcome. Thank you, Danica.
How do you decide on your colors? I see her just picking in an area.
On his outfit, I chose to go complementary. So I wanted some warm oranges and reds, earth tones, but more towards the earth tones. And then I decided to go on the big area, for the shoulder pad, I decided to go complementary with blue and an accent on the buttons. I just feel like going complementary. YouTube question: do you create a color palette in your mind when you are drawing? For example, get neutral colors, warm colors, cold, opposite colors, etc. I kind of do. I keep it loosely in my head, but I'm looking at it as I'm putting it down and compare. That's where the rubber hits the road, where it either works or it doesn't. So if it doesn't, then I make adjustments.
Was there ever a time you were asked not to finish because you weren't artistically up to the task at Disney? I can't imagine, but would be interested to hear.
Yes, I was taken off of King of the Elves because I was struggling with it. I've mentioned that earlier. My wife Karen at the time had passed away, and that's Dustin's mother,
Yep.
and she had breast cancer. And we struggled with it for a couple of years, and after she passed away, I was pretty heartbroken, and I just couldn't. I had a hard time getting back making the movie that I was making, and I struggled with it for 2 years, and then John Lasseter finally just took me off the movie, and that's when I decided to leave Disney and start over. So that was a big, awful part of my life. But you come out of it, you get better, and things change, life changes, life gets better, and here we are, 13 years later.
Did you ever have a difficulty with the specific scene,
Or 12 years later.
Like you couldn't animate a scene because it was so complicated or something?
I've had complicated scenes that were difficult, but I've never failed at them. No. I've never had a scene that I couldn't do. I've had scenes that took me a long time to figure out, and I thought they got the best of me, definitely. But I've never had one that got the best of me that I had to hand off to somebody else.
Did you ever have a shot where the boss was like, all right, you need to hurry up on this?
Oh yeah, a lot of shots like that. YouTube, Lewis on YouTube asks, hey Aaron, how advanced should I be in order to take your course on animation? Like if I have never ever animated a thing, but I know drawing fundamentals, is that okay? Actually, you're perfect for it because it starts in the fundamentals and takes you through all of that. So you're perfect for that. And then I have more advanced courses. I have an acting for animation course further down the road. But for the introduction animation, you're absolutely perfect for it. YouTube question: how do you stop the color for the background from seeping through the back of the illustration? Even when I use another layer, you can see a tint of the color behind my illustration. You just put a neutral color behind it. Make sure you're painting more opaque. It depends sometimes on the brush you're using. You want to make sure you have something opaque back there. There's any number of ways of doing that.
From seminars I've attended, I know the current Disney animation team goes to locations featured in their works, such as with Moana when they went to Hawaii to get reference and inspiration. Was this the case when you were working there? And if so, what was your favorite trip?
I went to, well, for several movies, or for 2 movies, when I did Brother Bear, I traveled all over wild North America. I was in Alaska, Wyoming, Northern California, and I was in all the wild places. So that was really awesome for me because that's where I'd rather be. That's where I'd rather spend my time. And so I was in places in Alaska that you could only get to by float plane, and then they would drop us off for a few days at a time, and then they'd come and pick us up. And so that was amazing. And when I was doing The Legend of Tembo, which is a story that covers several countries, it takes place and starts in Africa and goes into Asia, then I took a trip and spent time in Kenya, in Africa. Then we went from there to India. Then we went to northeast India, and then we went into Nepal, and then to Thailand, and all of that was just amazing. Amazing. It was incredible. What brush am I using right now? This is a friend of mine gave me this kind of pastel-y brush. That's what this one is.
Have you ever had to film yourself acting out a character for rehearsal or for reference?
Absolutely, many times. Many times. Perfect example. I mean, it's a small example, but there's a scene in Beauty and the Beast where he's telling her she can't go to the West Wing, and she goes, "What's in the West Wing?" He goes, "It's forbidden." And he spins around. It's kind of a long shot looking up to the balcony, and his cape kind of flies around, and then he slings it back and walks away. And I needed the live action on that cape to figure out how that cape worked. And so I had, who do you think I had modeled for me?
Jackson.
Jim Jackson, baby.
Kind of figure.
Yeah, Jim Jackson. That joke that never gets old.
The one and only Jim Jackson.
Yeah, so Jim Jackson actually did the live action for me. And I'm going to make it gold. He's working on gold.
Mr. Gold.
Gold!
I love gold!
So Jim Jackson did the live action reference, flung the cape around. I can't remember where we got a cape, but we got a cape. And it worked out, and that's how it got into the film.
Are you excited for the new Joker movie?
I am. It starts the day we go to Africa, so I'm not going to be able to see it till we get back.
Oh.
But I am excited.
Sucks to be you.
I actually want to see Ad Astra too, or Adstra. Ad Astra?
Ad Astra?
Ad Astra, I think it is. I think it's Ad Astra. It's the Brad Pitt movie in space with Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, yeah. I don't quite fully understand what that one's about.
It takes place, it's a sci-fi kind of adventure. It's Brad Pitt is sent across the the solar system, because Tommy Lee Jones, who's playing his dad, is doing something that threatens humanity. That's all I've read in the
IMBD?
Yeah, thank you. Oh man, I couldn't get it out.
In the IMD?
The IMD.
Is there a particular background shade that you like to use for the sketching stage, or do you just use any shade that comes up in the color chart?
Usually just like gray, because it's neutral. I'm just getting really kind of. There we go. Nick asks, "Are you not using your new versions of the coloring brush you created for any reason? Just curious." Are you not using your new versions of the coloring brush that you created? Oh, just because I'm just habit. I'm no reason in particular. I'm just talking and at the same time, and I'm not thinking about what I'm using really.
Did that happen before or after you met Walt Disney in a lift in Scotland?
What are you talking about?
I think it was from an earlier question.
Did what happen?
Uh,
See, you don't even know what you're asking. You're fired.
Screw you, little fat man. No, but I think it was the question I asked before the Joker movie.
Oh, what? Oh, gotcha. I'm gonna give him a little dark circles under his eyes, just a little bit.
Do your brushes work for other software besides Photoshop?
They are working for Procreate to a certain degree. They work. I think they work over in Ad Astra. Steve saw Ad Astra and said it was beautiful, but goes nowhere. Oh, that's too bad. Still want to see it. It's got really great reviews. Steve, you're fired for not liking a movie I want to see.
Steve, you're fired. Do the thing. Which Disney movie this year are you excited to see? Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, or Frozen 2?
Neither.
Neither.
Neither. At all. I'm sorry. I would probably. I guess I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to do with Frozen. I hope they do something more than what they did with the first one.
Oh.
Actually, I saw the trailer for the new one, and I got to say, it looks. The trailer had me kind of sucked in. There we go. So maybe we get a little bit of. He's going to have a little bit of bounced light. It's going to be light directly on what he's working on. I'm not going to work too much. I'm not going to take this to finish today. I just wanted to get a design down, which I feel like we've got.
If you could design an LP cover for any singer or band, who would it have been?
Oh man, that's a cool question.
So what kind of cover art would you make for what singer or band?
I would have loved to do something blues related. I'd love to do something for when he was alive, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh yeah.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton. I think
Kebmo.
Kebmo. For someone who's alive right now, I think it'd be fun to do LP art for. Would be Bruno Mars.
Ooh yeah.
He'd be a blast.
What does LP stand for again?
Long play.
Long play.
Those are the long play albums. That's the whole album.
If Dustin's fired now, Vedanta has to do all the funny voices for us. Lemonade, raccoon, refreshing drink. Oh.
Mike is watching and says he really likes this. Oh, good. Hey, Mike.
Mike Wazowski.
So for those of you that don't know, this illustration I'm doing, Mike is the creator of this whole concept. So I'm glad that Mike likes it. You want the guy who created it to like it. Faux show.
You know, working with Walt Disney must have been so much fun.
Yeah, it never got old. And the joke never got old.
And thus the joke continues. And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
So I'll bring that down this way.
Bringing it down.
Dude.
Open the doors, please.
Yeah, I don't mind super slow though. As long as the visuals have me sucked in. And it's about from what I've heard, it's about a father and son story, which has really got me interested in it.
What was it? What was it that you were replying to?
Ad Astra.
Ah. I'm looking forward to the King's Man, but I think that's next year.
Yeah, I don't mind slow as long as it has something to say. Some stuff I don't like. Who's the guy that did Pocahontas and like the Tree of Life? Not the Tree of Life, but the Fountain or something like that. He did all. Oh my God, I can't stand
Fountain
those
of Youth.
movies. But no, it was. Oh, what was it, Nick? I know you know.
Children of Men?
No, it wasn't called Pocahontas. It was Colin Farrell was in it, but he does like the Fountain. It was called the Fountain, was it? Was it the Fountain?
They're
Anyway,
talking about like all the different lives.
beautiful filmmaking, but the storytelling just drives me nuts.
They're talking about like all the different like from like past life to future lives.
Yeah.
Cloud Atlas?
No, it wasn't that one.
Oh.
No. Marie asks, question about action drawings. I'm good at doing still life and portrait, but crap when it comes to action. Any advice? Yeah, it's really about finding that line of action, finding the gesture. That's important first. Find that gesture, and then build on top of it.
Called the New World.
New World, thank you. But who's the director? So let's say I have a character that's running, or yeah, he's running. You want to get that. Don't be afraid to get in there and do really crappy drawings first. Terrence Malick, yeah. So I think his filmmaking, his cinematography, the way he envisions everything is beautiful, but the storytelling I really have a hard time with. Terrence Malick, and I don't want to badmouth him, I guess I am bad mouthing it, but and make sure you got to find those thrusts, those things that really help with the action.
You know, so one movie I'm really looking forward to, 1917.
Oh yeah, I know. I saw that.
I saw like a small behind the scenes on Facebook, and like it's all multiple cuts, but they're gonna be like extra long takes, like what they did with Children of Men. But I think even longer lengths, if I recall.
So don't
So
be
that'd
afraid.
be cool to see.
Yeah, don't be afraid to get in there with your gestures and just really it's all about getting it all there first.
Somebody suggested maybe do a course on how to deal with studio politics, like how to conduct yourself in a studio.
Well, that doesn't require a course. Just don't be a jerk. That's all. Don't be a jerk. Work well with others.
Be cooperative.
Yeah.
And don't take no. And don't take critiques too
And don't
seriously.
take no prisoners. What?
Take no prisoners. Yeah. Yeah. Don't
So-
take critiques too personally.
Don't be afraid to get in there when you're doing these gestures for your drawing action, because then you can always. This is what I always say. You can always then get down and go, now, okay, now I want to. Let's say this is a character that's. Now you can get in there and you can draw the details.
How did you Vedanta meet?
Oh, on at a strip club.
I thought it was at eHarmony.
It's on eHarmony.
eHarmony.com.
No, we Vedanta is Nick's wife's sister, and we met on Facebook. So you can always add details later. Vedanta's leering at me. I can feel it. I can feel her looking at me right now. So, and then here I'm still keeping it loose, but you can see, you can just refine it and refine it and refine it. It's all about simplicity, clarity. Like so. Okay, so that's how, if you want to do action, find that gesture first. Get the gesture down. Don't be afraid to be messy with it. That's what you want to find first. And then you can add the details later.
Aaron, are you excited that you'll get to see a pangolin?
I'm not sure that I will get to see a pangolin.
There's a funny video where Pride of Lions tried to play with a pangolin. Pretty interesting stuff. Awesome looking elf, sir, by the way.
Thank you. Sure.
Sure.
Sure. Good cheer.
Going to work Victor 5, sure. Oh my.
Terrence Malick, thank you. The fountain was Darren Aronofsky. Maybe it's Darren Al. Well, both of them I have a hard time with their storytelling. Because, Darren Aronofsky, didn't he do the one with Brad Pitt with a boy? Shoot. I'm terrible with my directors. Nick's better at it than me. What's that?
Curious Case of Benjamin Button?
No. Where the boy's growing up, and it's not a boy's life. I'm drawing blanks.
Benjamin Button.
No, it wasn't Benjamin Button. I know Benjamin Button. It wasn't that one.
I think the movie that ends with Button was starts with Benjamin.
Was it that one?
I think it was that one.
No, it wasn't. Twitch question. So when painting a design, Tree of Life with Brad Pitt was also Terrence Malick. Oh, Tree of Life. Thank you.
Tree of Life.
Yeah. So that one I actually liked pretty. I wasn't too bad. Twitch question. So when painting a design, do you use layers a lot or less? The better, or does it matter what style it is? Well, if I'm digitally painting, obviously I do use layers a lot, because I want to keep the stuff that works. I want to keep it. I want to preserve it. Oh, looks like I got my lens in the mail.
Yeah, nice.
So, Manny, if you're listening, the lens just arrived. Is that the lens? Yep. The lens just arrived, Manny. If you're listening. Thank you. So, Manny Carrasco, who's going to Kenya with us, that actually helped set up the whole trip. I'm buying his lens. It's a 150 to 600. And taking that with me. So now I'm painting in shadows.
Painting in the shadows.
Painting in the shadows.
Like Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I always paint the shadows. I always paint in black. Or in some cases, really, really dark gray.
You've got the
Where are the other trucks going?
Did you ever meet or work for Windsor McKay? Yeah, that was my first job. Boy, little Walt used to come running up. Idiot.
Yeah, little Walt runs out going,
Look, Mommy, I just drew a mouse.
talking in Batman's voice.
I figured that out.
Yeah. That's how Walt talked back then. For shading, do you use a new layer with the layer mode or just darker colors?
No, I am using a new layer right here. I set it to multiply is the blend mode. And I get, right now I've got a medium warm gray. I'm just loosely hitting some of these shadow areas. His hand makes a shadow. Thinking of a light that he's working by. Nikon versus Canon. Well, I've always used Canon, always. I know Nikon's great, but it's one of those things. I've just always used Canon. I love Canon.
Yeah, I started with a Canon, but I transitioned over to Sony.
That camera's pretty cool that you got, that Sony.
Yeah, I love it. I'm just kind of fixed with one lens, but I want to get a longer lens in the future, so I can do some my own wildlife photography.
There we go.
With Walt sounding like Batman, he sure smoked enough to sound like that.
Yeah, that's very true. Where are the other trucks going?
Alright, I'm going to go a little brighter now.
Would you be able to show us on importing a texture to maybe his blue shoulder pads?
Sure. I can show you right now. What kind of texture do they want? Take a pool. A pool.
A pool?
Yeah, take a pool.
Pool? Just fill up the pool of ideas?
What kind of texture do you want on the shoulder pads?
Well, we'll give it a minute for people to hear this part.
Yeah, Nick is saying a lot of pro photographers are jumping ship to Sony. I know. Sony's doing some really amazing stuff.
Yeah. Like the A7 III alone, you can shoot in such low light because the ISO levels are so good.
That's what's really cool about it. That's what really gets me excited.
The low light shooting.
That super high ISO with no grain.
Yeah. Like the only issue I see with the Sony brand is their lenses are relatively expensive. But I mean, the new Canon RF lenses are just as expensive, if not more. Though.
Yeah. So.
But they're really good quality.
So I'm hitting light here wherever I can, very loosely. Hold on,
we
loosely.
got a diamond shape, stone texture, leather. I'm actually with the leather.
Leather texture for the shoulders.
For the shoulders, yeah.
Blue leather.
Blue.
Actually, I think I might have some leather texture already. Let me see what I've got. Not pronghorn.
Pronghorn.
Leather.
Leather.
Leather grunge texture. There it is, right there.
We need some leather here. Do my.
All right, let's see what we got here.
Yeah, Gibby's back. She left earlier for to get her car smog tested, and she passed the smog test. Yay!
Yay! See, That's
Mid-
not bad. See there?
Yeah.
There's a nice little leather texture.
Somebody also asked for medieval metal.
What's medieval metal?
I do not know. Just metal? Maybe like a stainless steel or bronze.
Well, we could
Texture.
do like a chain link, like a chain mill.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm with the leather. Like, there's something about the idea of leather for the shoulder pads feels fitting.
There's that. That feels probably the most leather to me. It's got, you can still see the hair follicle areas. Let me see what this one looks like.
Either that
Slowly
or-
downloading.
Either that or like a diamond pattern. Like dragon scales.
Come on. That one's not bad. That feels like leather, huh?
Yeah. Me like it.
Okay. That was preview. I don't want it preview.
Yeah, somebody
So
else.
we'll open it and whoops. See, let me do that again. No. Why is it doing this? I keep going to the wrong thing.
That is a very good question.
Trying to get it open. Why am I don't want a smart object. Oh, I'm just gonna roll with it anyway.
Did you rasterize it first?
I'm going to.
Every time I bring in a new image, I always quote unquote rasterize the image.
You don't have to. That's the thing. All right. So now what I do is I set it to multiply. You can do it one of two ways. I can either set it to multiply, which is going to look like this. Multiply. And I've knocked the opacity way down. Let me bring the opacity up. So let me blow this up too. So now you can see the texture right here in his shoulder pads. And what I'd do is just cut away. Matter of fact, I'm going to blow it up a little bit because I kind of do like that. So if I do this, take this. And we are going to inverse that, and then we're going to go cut. So now we've cut it. But notice how we've got the texture. And I got to clean up the edges, obviously.
Obviously.
We've got the texture, but I don't like that it's changed the color a whole lot. So one of the things I want to do is a couple of things we can do. First of all, we can lighten it up and just see. Watch what happens if I take it and I lighten it up. We get our color back, and you can still see there's a little bit of texture there. But if I go up to image adjustment as exposure, I can go a little darker. I can push the gamma a little darker, and then push the exposure, and it's going to push the contrast. Watch. There, now you can see we're getting our texture back. And I'm playing with the offset. I'm playing with the gamma. Offset and gamma.
Offset and gamma.
Now, if we feel like that's too much, I can pull that back just a little bit more on that percentage. I don't want it too heavy. See there? That actually feels pretty good. And I can come up, I can go to image adjustments and hue and saturation. My dog's in here and he's tail
His
hitting
tail is
everything.
hitting the fan.
I can take all that warm color out, just bring it more towards a gray, and it brings the color back that I originally had. So now I've got some leather texture. You can see right there. And I can knock it back up a little bit if we want more texture. More texture. More texture. I can take it as high as I want. I don't want to go that far with it. I'll just bring it back right about 40%. So now I've got leather texture on there. Okay? Feels pretty good. So that's how you add texture. There's different ways of doing it, but that's probably the easiest way of doing it. Of photo bashing texture onto your character. And I'm probably going to wrap it up here as well. Let me throw a background color in there.
Yeah, the character actually kind of makes me think of a anime that I know of called Dragon Ball Z.
You're a Dragon Ball Z.
Your face is a Dragon Ball Z.
You're just a Dragon Ball.
You're full of Z's. See what I did there?
So I'm just giving them some cool gray color for the background. Want him to pop a little bit. Get a little texture. Maybe a little dark back there.
When you were at Disney, did you ever hear about the short film Destino,
Yes.
which was a Walt Disney and Salvador Dali collaboration?
Yeah, it was actually Roy finished it. Roy and I went to the Oscars together. I was there for Brother Bear, and Roy was there for Destino. Actually, I went through a lot of the Salvador Dali original artwork. Held it in my hand. Yes, I know it very well. Very trippy.
Do you currently work with an agency?
No, I don't. I worked with a lawyer for years and years, and I walked away from all that. That's not my world anymore.
Is that a golden compass that the elf is repairing?
Maybe,
Maybe.
maybe not. Only the elf knows. Bum, 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 bum. I do want to get a little bit more color change in here.
The fact that he's that elf repairing a watch is make me also think of Carnival Row.
Why is that? Is that what they
It's
did?
like that. Well, it's just the whole idea of a fantasy creature in a steampunk kind of world,
Yeah.
which is kind of what Carnival Row is like fairies and centaurs.
Did you say fairies?
fairies?
Fairies.
Fairies.
Did you say fairies?
I said fairies.
But you said it like fairies.
Fairies.
Furries? Alright, so I'm
That's a
going to put
whole other concept right there.
this. So let me, I just want to try one thing. I know I said I was done. Just want to get a little reflected light in here.
Have you ever visited the Dolly Museum in Tampa?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
What's one of your favorite colors to work with?
I love like violet and yellow. Those complements. I like working with those.
Violet and yellow. Smashing.
Not liking that, but I will work on that face a little bit more.
Just a wee bit more.
Yeah, so I want to get a little reflected light coming up onto him. Twitch question for the highlighting. You were doing. Did you just have it on multiply on a different layer? Not for the highlighting. That was for the shadows. For the highlighting, I had it set for uh, um, I put it at overlay. So I'm going to work on this a little bit later, but I've got a good start. Got it someplace that I'm liking it. So I'm going to get a little bit of reflected light on this guy. And we got some rendering and modeling to do and all kinds of stuff. We've got a lot to do on this. But I want to at least find a design and have some fun with it and get at least a base color in there. Some base color. And I might darken his face. I'm just darken him overall and then work that light a little bit more, because he's like, if I do this, watch. If you ever have an issue like this, you can go, all right, you know what, I'm going to set this to multiply, and I'm going to grab this warm tone. I'm just going to fill the whole thing. So now I've got this. Now I can go in and say, all right, now I'm going to grab an eraser. Very lightly, let's grab it. I'm going to grab an airbrush, soft round. And I'm just going to start pulling out where I think some of this light might hit.
What's your favorite Pixar movie?
My favorite Pixar movie? I don't know.
There's quite a few to choose from.
There are. I've always liked the Toy Story series.
What?
Probably the Incredibles.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
So you can see, I can come in. I want to just darken everything just a bit because I want it to feel like he's in a under the spotlight, under a dim light, I should say. And you can just play with that a little bit. So there's all kinds of, that's the beauty of working digitally, is being able to go in and play with stuff like that.
Would you ever consider visiting or showing at the Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge?
Rockwell? I'm so outclassed. No. That's way out of my league.
Hey Aaron, with
Hey.
with the adventure book you're drawing these elves for, are there any drow dark elves, and if so, how do they look?
I don't know what they look like yet because I haven't drawn them, but I don't know that there's any dark elves. I don't think there are. Can you show us your layers? The layers are right here. I'll turn them all off and I'll turn them back on. So here is, I'm going to start with the background. So there's our gray. There's our background layer. I started off with a drawing layer. So there is a quick sketch. There's my original sketch that I erased most of. And then there was my next sketch. And then I did a refining sketch over the top of that. So I got the drawing done first. Then I started adding local color, which is what all of these are. So I got the local color in there, and that's just basically the color of his skin, his outfits and all that. Then here's the background thrown in, and then I put a color in for the tabletop in front of him. And then from there I started working up shadows and lights. So there's the shadow layer, there is a bit of a light layer, there is a texture layer, and then that was a little bit of a reflected light layer, but I wasn't liking how the whole thing was feeling even, so I darkened it all, and now I'm going back in and pulling back out some of the highlights. Like so. And that'll enable me to go in and play with some of these. The other thing I can do at this stage is go to my drawing layer, which is right here, I can go to, if I turn that off, you can see how that drawing really holds it together. But if I turn it off, it also tells me where I need to go in and work a little bit more. But what I do like is I can come up here and hit some of these areas here a little bit more.
What are your favorite things about working digitally?
How forgivable it is. How forgiving it is, I should say. Forgivable.
Forgivable.
How forgiving it is.
It is very forgivable.
One thing I like to do when I'm at this stage too with the line work is now I can not turn the line work off, but cut it back, and I can really go in and start defining a little bit more now. But there is our elf. So always remember, you can play with your values. You just have to be willing to, push them darker, lighter. What I really was realizing was that everything was feeling dark or feeling even, light. And so I wanted to go dark with it and then pull out some lighter areas and be really economical with it. And so that's what this is all about. Okay? So I'm going to finish this up. Actually, let me show you what we can do with it now, real quick. Because I can go in, I'm going to add like my signature kind of rim lighting. I'm going to add a little bit of rim lighting. So if we go in with a little bit of rim lighting, and I'm going over the top of the dark that I just laid down. So now it's going to feel like there's maybe a little bit of light from a window somewhere.
Will you be doing any watercolor sketches in Africa?
Yes. I'm bringing my watercolors with me. I'll probably mostly be doing black and white drawings at night, but I will be bringing my watercolor sketches just in case. My watercolor setup. Just small.
Small stuff?
Yeah. There we go. Makes me think maybe there is a later, like it's later in his shop or something. Yeah, that's the idea. I want it to feel a little bit later.
You always do the rim lighting with a complement color?
Not always, but in this case, I often do. And in this case, it just felt like the right thing to do.
And for the light covers, what part of Africa are you coming?
I'm going to Kenya. More specifically, I'm going to the Masai Mara in Kenya. There we go.
Aaron will draw the darkness of the night with black and white. Or sometimes really, really dark gray.
I'm not sure if it would catch that much there, but I'll put a little bit there.
Are you using a soft brush for the rim lighting?
No, I'm using my regular sketch brush.
Kill.
Kill.
Like, so kill.
See how that rim lighting, when you add those dark values, now it's really about just being really selective about pulling out some bright areas, and you can create something that's nice and dramatic. nice flow to the hair. And then as this comes out from under his hair, the
Dustin, are you excited for Zombieland 2? I think we're both excited for Zombieland 2.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Are you?
Kind of am. I mean, I'm not. I don't like zombie movies that much, and I know, it's not really. It's kind of a zombie movie, but
Yeah, I've always enjoyed zombie movies, but usually there's just every zombie movie. There's always like terror and fear, but what I like about Zombieland is that it's more of a comedy, like than any. There's like no horror whatsoever in Zombieland.
yeah.
That's what I think is fun about it. And so yeah, I'm personally really excited for Zombieland 2.
So you can see just hitting that little touch.
That's with your voice talent. What cartoon would be a dream to do voiceover for? Ooh. Maybe. I don't know. I need to think about that. Maybe like a extra for like a Scooby Doo series or something, or maybe one of the Marvel characters. Never really thought about that actually.
Have you seen the Scooby Doo memes where they're using like?
Oh, it's like Shaggy.
Yeah, but it's they're going against like Jason Voorhees and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy and.
He's like, "Are you challenging me, man?"
All right.
Do you control the size? I don't actually. Did I ask this one already? Do you control the size of your brush / eraser with pressure or a keyboard key or a gadget?
Well, I can control the line width by pressure, but the actual size of the brush, I use my hotkey. I use it on the keyboard. There we go. Little right there. I wonder. I'm going to try something. I'm going to try a third light. So we got our main light, and I'm going to do a almost like a green light on the other side. See if that, like he's being lit from two sides. I want to see how that's going to feel. It might feel too much.
Which of your brush collections would you recommend for beginners?
Oh, the brush collection?
Yeah, which one would you recommend?
My original custom brush set.
Think that would work for beginners?
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, this might be a little too much. Let me just play it out. Let me play it out and see what it's going to look
you guys must be so pumped to go to Kenia.
like.
Spelled it Kenia. I think he meant Kenya instead of an I. It's with a Y. But yeah, Dad and Nick
Yes.
are definitely excited.
Will I be listening to Toto in Africa? Yes. What was the band that did the remake?
Oh, I think Pentatonics did one.
No. The one that sounds
They did
exactly. Who did the remake, Nick?
Nick did the thing.
See, I don't know if I like the light on the other side. I think it's Weezer. Thank you. I think I'm just going to keep it there on like that, and then we'll go with the regular lighting from above.
Oh, it's from the Rockwell Museum comment. I disagree, sir. You're like multiple explanation points. You're more than qualified, talented, skilled, insert word, for the Rockwell Museum.
Rockwell is a god to me.
It's like one of those, like, if you present your art there, you're done. You can retire, you're set.
Well, it's definitely...
Just burn the rest of the bucket list, we're done.
It's definitely an honor. Whoops, what am I doing?
Oh my, what are you doing, sir?
Oh, it doesn't need to be that bright. I want it to be a little more pure.
I went to Mount Kenya, a great place to see the sun rising up over the clouds.
Oh yeah.
Mount Kenya?
Mount Kenya, yeah. It's the
Person
largest mountain in Kenya.
Person forgot a U, so it sounded like Mont Kenya. So Mount Kenya.
See, Kilimanjaro's in Tanzania.
Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro.
You know what I can do for voice acting? I could do advertisements. EA Sports. It's in the game.
There you go. So I'm just I'm introducing lighted areas inside the eyes here. I want to go a little bit dark now. Get those pupils painted in. There we go. And then what you do, because I'm going to have bounce light coming up, I'm going to get a little bit of reflected light bouncing off the eye. Might be too much here. That's too much. Let me go a little darker. His glasses, something with light. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get his glasses for sure.
How do you manage to keep your humanoid figures so accurate while you're mostly drawing animals?
I draw everything. Put it that way. No, I don't think of them. I try to draw all kinds of stuff. So it's not just animals that I draw.
Have you ever tried speaking the Xhosa language? It's a language with clicks and tongue sounds. You can hear a lot of this in the Lion King musical.
Yeah, no, I don't. I can't do it because you making the sound and it's like in the back of your throat that you got to do it, and I'm not able to do it.
I've always wanted to be an animator, but now I'm a graphic designer because I want a stable work with a good salary. Would you say I was foolish?
Well, you can have stable work with a good salary anywhere you go. He's got to pick the right place. I've had a stable work and good salary for the last 30 years. go. Getting a little bit going right here.
Alrighty.
Bill Shimass. Hey, Aaron, it's Bill. Do you know Mel Milton? Yeah. Oh, Mel. I love Mel. Who doesn't love Mel Milton? If you don't know Mel Milton, you're missing out. And if you do know Mel Milton, then you know what I'm talking about.
If you know him, then you know him.
Awesome.
Mel's one of the coolest guys I know.
Wasn't he the 11th man to walk on the moon?
That'd be Jim Jackson, but Mel's right there.
He'd probably be, what, the 10th or 12th?
Yeah. These highlights are a little too much. So anyway, I gotta get this skin tone right. Get that in there. Why is this like that?
Good question.
Why is this doing that? There we go. Bounced light there. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this time.
Like, all right, we're going to wrap it up. Let me just do this one thing here real
We'll
quick.
just do this real quick.
2 hours later. All right, I think we're about done there. All right, let me make this one final adjustment here. 6 hours later. All right, looks like we're about done. Wait a minute. What's this right here? Oh, crap! I need to fix this real quick. 2 days later.
Twitch comment. I love when Aaron says he's just gonna do one more thing and then spends another hour on fees.
See what I mean?
Yeah. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
You're already home. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
All right. Let's see here. I'm gonna go a little brighter with that. There we go. All right. Well, you can see, when you have a piece where you can't quite figure out your lighting, if it's not working out for you, darken that whole thing. Get right in there, darken it, put a layer over it, set it to multiply, darken the whole thing, because you can always go back in
Full screen
and rework it. So I'm still gonna. I might even do it again. I might go in and darken the whole thing again and rework the lighting again. But you can see with just a little bit of rim lighting and selective, thinking about where the light source is coming from, being selective and bounce light and all that, you can come up with kind of a cool little image, which I think we've got going. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. So long for a long time. We're not going to see you for at least a couple of weeks. So take some of these things that you've learned and go out there and make some pretty pictures. Put some beauty back in the world. And remember, we've got our Patreon. If you want to jump over there and donate, we would love that. It's patreon.com/AaronBlaiseArt. For the $1 a month donation, you get images that you can do whatever you want with, about 3 or 4 images a month. For the $5 donation a month, you're going to get all the Photoshop files of all those images. You can break them apart. You can do whatever you want with them to figure out what it is that I do when I make those things. And for the $10 a month, you get a live stream every month. You're going to get access to our TV Paint files. In some cases, you're going to get monthly discount codes for the website. You'll get all kinds of cool stuff. So anyway, thanks a lot, you guys. I really had a great day today, and I will. I'm finishing this up at just the right time.
It's starting to break.
Starting to lose my voice, but I had a really good time today, guys, and I will see you after the 15th, and I will have all kinds of fun stuff to talk to you about regarding Africa. So I hope you guys have a nice couple of weeks. Go out, put some beauty back into the world, be nice to somebody, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks, Dustin.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and glad you guys enjoyed this stream. And until next time, which should be in a few weeks, but until next time, Cowboy Bebop. Later. Cowboy Bebop.